Hello everyone, and welcome to another frame analysis video. Today's target is Ashe, and there's going to be a clear division in this video. I started these guys not only to inform newer players on a frame's capabilities and to help them decide if the frame is worth their time, but also to explore a frame and to show its unique traits. Some friends over at Allegiant, which is a clan that I'm in for Warframe and a Discord that I'm a part of, told me that for Excalibur, I had a really missed opportunity where I could have gone over how Chromatic Blade works with his kit. Chromatic Blade is something known as an Augment mod, a mod that slightly changes an ability to either add a new trait to it, or to change its functionality within its kit. So the first section of this video will be going over the frame and its abilities as they are baseline, their baseline functions, and how they combo with each other. After going over its baseline, I will be exploring some of the augments for the frame and how those impact their kit, if I think they make a significant difference, that is. For example, Chromatic Blade on Excalibur is something I should have covered. However, when I eventually go over Titania, Razorwing Blitz is not something I am going to cover because personally I don't think that it's worth the mod slot on the frame to put it on. Now with that out of the way, on with the video. Ashe is an interesting frame, and one that I think, at least from a thematic standpoint, they nailed. His whole gimmick is that he's an assassin, a ninja of sorts, and everything he does revolves around that. Throwing shurikens, stealth, teleporting behind targets, creating shadow clones of himself that essentially just go apeshit for a little while and kill everything in the vicinity. Ashe is actually a frame I'm currently using on most of my missions on stream to clear Steel Path, an alternative star chart that takes enemy levels on each node and adds 100 to it plus a couple of different modifiers. Ashe's damage capability combined with his ability to stealth to mitigate some of the damage that he would take in situations makes him not only a good frame for beginners, but for veterans alike. Ashe's first ability, Shuriken, launches shurikens at enemies dealing light damage. This ability is useful, though I find myself not using it so much as I primarily focus on the synergies between the rest of his kit. However, that doesn't make this ability bad. If there are a few trash enemies that you can't be bothered for toggling your 4/4, casting shurikens is an okay way to clear them. However, besides that, it's nothing special to write home about. Smokescreen is Ashe's second ability, an ability that is fairly self-explanatory. It's a smokescreen. You use it and become invisible for a duration. To me, one of the most useful parts of this ability is that it cuts the cost of toggling your 4 in half as long as you remain stealth while you mark people, so you can mark more targets in an area, effectively doubling its damage capacity, which is incredibly useful because, as I will mention later, Ashe's 4 is the main part of his kit. It's his quote-unquote signature ability, so the ability to make that cost half as much is incredibly important and near vital for his kit. Not only this, but the stealth allows you to mitigate damage that you would be taking because enemies will not target you in stealth. You can still be hit by AoE abilities, but enemies will not directly target you with gunfire, nor will they actually attempt to melee you while you are in stealth. Ashe's Teleport is another self-explanatory ability, as it legitimately teleports Ashe to an enemy, opening them up to a finisher regardless of their state of detection. However, if this ability is used while Ashe's 4 is active, you will join in your shadow clones in attacking all the targets. This, in my opinion, is a lot of fun. You could teleport to each target individually as well to open them up to finishers and then attempt and execute, or with your 4 active, you can join your pack of shadow clones and start executing people a lot quicker. And finally, for Ashe's 4th ability, Bladestorm. This ability is one of my favorite in the game simply for how fun it is in my opinion. Yes, on its own, it's an area clear with a high amount of targeting due to your stealth, but if you combine it with his teleport, it turns it into a cinematic montage of Ashe just slaughtering enemies at a remarkable rate, and once the cinematic is done, you just have a field of loot and corpses. This ability is toggled on for 0 energy, however marking a target takes energy, which once again is cut in half if he is stealth. This ability damage is actually considerable and it scales off of the melee weapon you have equipped. I'll use a Karis Prime, but anything will technically amplify its damage. Before I go into how I build Ashe, I would like to take some time to go over his augments, because to be honest, all of them have their own unique uses that are not entirely useless, such as Razorwing Blitz as I mentioned earlier. Personally, I use 2 of them, but they are interchangeably all good. His augments are Seeking Shuriken, Smoke Shadow, Fatal Teleport, and Rising Storm, each one augmenting an ability of his 1 through 4 respectively. Seeking Shuriken gives Shurikens Armor Shred, making it so that casting Shuriken before a Bladestorm becomes a part of your rotation. However, I find it does enough damage without having to use Shurikens, but I'm sure if you came across some higher armor targets like heavy units, this could become useful. Smoke Shadow gives his smoke screen some utility, allowing it to stealth allies caught in its range for a duration, as well as yourself. Once again, useful for some situations, but I don't find myself using it regularly, if at all. Fatal Teleport makes your teleport automatically perform a finisher, dealing 200% extra damage and refunding half of the energy cost on a kill, making it so you can teleport on a target, Control-Delete them from the game, without needing to cast Bladestorm first. And finally, Rising Storm causes Bladestorm attacks to increase your melee counter and give you longer combo duration. It's not uncommon to have capped combo with this mod, which makes your Fatal Teleport just that much stronger. Those are the 2 that I tend to use in my builds. This is my own personal build for him. As stated prior, I tend to focus more on the 4 and the 3. Steel Charge is practically a must, as it increases your already absurd damage by 60%. Keeping close to 100% range so you don't have to get too close to enemies to mark them with Bladestorm, and you can sacrifice efficiency since Bladestorm can be cut in half if you're stealth, which you will be running duration to make sure you are almost permanently stealth. In closing, Ashe is a fun frame with high damage, and I would heavily recommend adding to your arsenal if it wasn't for one thing: the process of requisition. Currently, Ashe as a base frame is a pain in the ass to farm, which is slightly understandable due to his insane damage output and survivability. However, I can't recommend newer players to spend the time that it would take to farm him. If you're a veteran, I would say just go for the Prime, so you have the better version like I do. Thank you all for watching, and if you're not already, feel free to join the Discord to start up a conversation, and I'll see you all in the next video.